Next session on National Education Policy 2020 Way Ahead by Colonel V. Venkat Sir. As Dr. Smita ma'am has already introduced him, may I now request Colonel V. Venkat Sir to address the gathering.
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks a lot. Wonderful to be at your forum, wonderful to be speaking on your platform. Apologies, I could not join earlier, so sincerely you would be appreciating it that, due to various other commitments, I could not join. But notwithstanding, we are here now, and I would be speaking on the given topic, and the topic happens to be National Education Policy 2020. It is pertinent for each one of us to understand and appreciate that we are living in a time wherein your service experience or in your lifetime, dramatic changes are happening around us. Some of them involves to be revolutionizing education, and some of them happens to be coming down in the form of policy and the implementation of the policy as it has been proposed that the policy will be implemented by 2035. So if suppose the policy is to be implemented in totality by 2035, I personally feel that it is pertinent and very, very relevant for every faculty member to at least, if not go through the full document, at least understand the relevance of NEP and as to how the NEP has come out as a policy, where are we as of today, what all is supposed to be done, what all the involvement of various people, and as to which position we are in today. You would like to see my video. I don't mind switching on the video, but it would be much appreciated, that I would be doing it at a later stage. At a later stage, it's much better, but I'll still, because I think you people should see who is speaking. It's very important. So having said this as to what is the relevance of NEP and as to how NEP is materializing, I will touch upon the various aspects of NEP to also include, like I said just now, where are we, what has been done, what has been mandated, what is needs to be done, and in addition as to exactly speaking what is expected out of the various institutes and faculty members across the length and breadth of the country. Ladies and gentlemen, I would be taking you down, even though this particular talk pertains to the higher education, I will be specifically taking you down right from the school education onwards with a single reason that you people should understand that the students happen to be the focal point of an education. If students happen to be the focal point of education, it is the same student who after graduating from their respective schools would be coming to the higher education. And when they come to the higher education, whether they come to engineering, they come to pharmacy, they come to architecture or anywhere, the standard uptake and understanding of the level where the students would be coming would be reasonably much more enhanced as compared to what they used to be coming earlier. So the present system of education happens to be 10+2. The NEP has promulgated with a system which now goes to 5+3+3+4, wherein the first 5 happens to be your foundational stage. And in case of the first 5 happens to be a foundational stage, it is herein where the student is going to be doing 3 years in pre-primary, followed by 2 years of his class 1 and 2. And add 3 to every forum which I am telling you, that's roughly the touch and go age bracket of a child as to what is expected when he's here. So having said this, the age bracket of a child in case of foundational stage will be 8 years, up to the 8 years. What is supposed to be done different from what it was earlier? It is here that this education to the school child would be given 100% in his regional language. Now, why the regional language has been introduced? The regional language has been introduced with a very single and specific reason, that is to promote education across the length and breadth and to ensure that each and every person who is into growing up age can be connected with education, because it has been proven education in mother tongue is the fastest medium of learning. Now, ladies and gentlemen, as I would not be going in any structured sequence, neither I would have any presentation. I don't speak out of a presentation, so I would be taking you down the path of growth of a student from his school education to the higher education. And accordingly, I'll keep connecting you with every point as pertinent to NEP as applicable to you. That is as applicable to higher education. So having said foundational stage. At foundational stage, I use the word regional language, and in case if regional language has to be done, higher national education policy does promulgate or say that the higher technical education or higher education will be promoted in regional languages. Why the regional languages? Why the regional languages connectivity is to ensure increase in the number of students taking higher education. When you have an increase in the number of higher education, very important another connecting point comes is increase in the gross enrollment ratio. What's a gross enrollment ratio? A gross enrollment ratio happens to be number of students I'm referring to in our case. So the number of students who are undergoing the higher education as compared to the number of students of that particular age bracket who are there in the environment. Today, touch and go, our percentage of high gross enrollment ratio for higher education happens to be 28.5, approximately 28.5%. If 28.5% happens to be the approximate number of students which we have achieved after a period of nearly 7 decades, the NEP envisages this percentage to reach to 50%. And in case if it has to reach to 50%, please understand the timeline which has been expected in the NEP happens to be 2035. So in case if by 2035, this particular gross enrollment ratio needs to be improved or increased, various means and measures have to be incorporated. One of them happens to be the promotion of education in regional languages, and that is what exactly is been taken up as a topic when we say that the children in foundational stage would be given exposure in regional languages. Where are we? What has been done? I'll take you there also at the AICT and at ministries level. We are already in the process of identifying subjects which are available on SWAYAM platform for the purposes of translation as applicable to first year. For the purpose of translation, the translation activity has already commenced for 8 regional languages. And simultaneously, if I may also tell you that there's an original technical book writing scheme which has been initiated, and this original technical book writing scheme is also writing the books in the regional languages. Towards this, we have incorporated various technical universities across India, and we are shortlisted authors, probable authors who are writing in their respective regional languages. And at the same time, no education can be complete unless and until you also prepare your teachers accordingly. So the proposal for making teachers also competent and capable in their regional languages is already on. We are in the process, or we are just in the stages of taking that particular agenda also ahead. Suffice to say that a topic of promotion of regional languages in education supported with the gross enrollment ratio has been taken up in the right spirit. That is what is spoken in the NEP, and where we are, I just spoke to you. Moving ahead, that is the next stage of students' growth. We move ahead from 5, we go to the next 3, which happens to be class 3, 4, and 5. This is what is called now as a preparatory stage. This is the preparatory stage. The children are supposed to be given continuity in their education in the regional languages, and this is for the first time. In addition to continuity of in regional languages, the child would be given exposure to English with an option to study his graduation or higher education in English forum. As far as the school child is concerned, he's a school child, so his exposure will be in English also at this particular stage. However, and compared immediately with higher education also gives an option to study in regional language stroke in English. So parallel I'll keep drawing so that understandability and the relativity between the student as is growing up becomes much easier for each one of us. This is also the first time that the student will now be given a little bit of exposure. I use the word little bit exposure to skill related subjects, something like what we call as vocational subjects. Now this is an extremely important and relevant. It finds a full mention in the NEP as a chapter. Vocational subjects is a chapter in itself. Vocational training. Now, as to what is the relevance of this vocational training, I will tell you as to what is the purpose. The purpose of this is that for whatever reasons today well known, vocational subjects or a vocational education is considered to be a little bit inferior as compared to general education. Results well known. We can debate later, and each one of you know the reasons. The issue being to ensure that there is no difference between the graduates who pass out from the vocational education stroke general education, and then to ensure that they are at par. So what needs to be done? There needs to be commonalities in the learning outcomes which needs to be introduced as far as the vocational education is concerned for the purposes of degree generation as at par with general education by introduction of certain bridge courses or certain additional courses. That is one. And number two, inculcation of certain skill related activities and subject for the purposes of credit sharing to be incorporated in degree. That is a vice versa, to ensure that degree courses also have capable of sufficient amount of hands-on training job which are being incorporated to again bring about common learning outcomes. So that to ensure that there is no difference between vocational and general education. It has also been mentioned, or it has been proposed, the establishment of NHEQF, that is National Higher Education Qualification Framework, and National Skill Qualification Framework. These both to be established, both to be associated in such a manner that the students who are going to come outside would be having levels. There would be levels which would be defined 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which would be at par with NOS, that is the National Occupation Standards, and NSDC, National Skill Development Council, would be incorporated with it. So basically, NHEQF would be overall responsible to ensure that the students who are passing out would be employable oriented. They would be coming out with certain skill sets in their hand, ready for getting employment, stroke ready for contribution towards overall improvement of the nation as compared to what it is today. That we have a degree courses children coming out, and then we have skill courses which are coming out from vocational training. Another very important aspect, which is again connected to here only and which says very clearly to ensure that the skill related subjects find a relative mention, is involvement of Lok Vidya. Now the Lok Vidya happens to be your own traditional Indian related subjects which are incorporated with hands-on skill and training. So with Lok Vidya also to be taken as kind of a vocational subject, this vocational subject to be introduced as an effective teaching methods both at school level, that is when they come to the present level where we are today. Now we are at the preparatory stage. So Lok Vidya related skills is going to be coming in. Lok Vidya connects our traditional artisans and our traditional culture of carrying out skills. So in a way, you are once again involving your local artisans toward the same. And the moment you involve your local artisans, the point to be noted here is that you are also contributing to the overall GDP of the particular district, region, state, or for that matter, the overall contributory cost to the nation. That is how vocational education has been weaved. So in case if suppose I sum it up and tell you as to what is it, the understanding over this complete thing which I told about is that there will be no difference at all between vocational education and general education for the purposes of granting degree and subsequently for the purposes of contributory as factor towards the national growth. Now if we move ahead from the present level, which is still at the preparatory level, the student now goes to the next three. The next three happens to be middle level. That middle level is class 6, 7th and 8th. It is at that middle level that 100% integration of the school child with the skill related subjects will take place. Mind you, in the previous level, I just said that he is going to be given an exposure. Now is 100% involvement and an option to the student to take on the skill related subject based on his or her expertise. This is what would be given to a student. The points which I enumerated continue to remain once again valid up to this point of time also. That student is at liberty to continue his education in the regional language or in the language as English, because English will continue to remain. That is something each one of us should understand, that by promoting regional language, it's just ensuring that an exposure is given to vast section of the society to enter with no distinguish between the existing subjects which are already being spoken. I would also like to connect immediately when we say that the means and methods of education can be in any forum as found suitable. They can be in that the dissemination mode or delivery mode can be in an online, can be in face-to-face, or can be a blended form as it has come to know now. That is a mix of online and face-to-face mode. I'll connect this point once again in the next stage. When we go to the next stage, that is the last stage of student when he comes to the last 4, which is called as secondary education. Now, this secondary education with 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th, this happens to be the most important phase of a student's life, wherein the student would be undergoing complete study based on his respective wisdom and his choice of subjects. Ladies and gentlemen, each one of you have already taken up and understood as to AICTE guidelines, which must have already come out. They must be on the net, and each one of you have gone through that, with a lot of people commenting on the subject, stating that physics, maths, and chemistry now no more needs to be mandatory for the purposes of taking on engineering education. In addition to this, we have said that out of the 13 subjects which now are existing at the secondary level, which do take a subject as information technology, biotechnology, computers technology, agriculture, these subjects, in addition to the traditional physics, maths, chemistry, and other subjects which are offered to the student, a student is at liberty to pick up any 3 subjects for the purposes of taking on engineering and his later stages, with a single point that overall collective 45% mark should be there in all the 3 subjects. Now, the genesis and the reason for this happens to be one single thing, that largest section of the society of the people who could not take on engineering for whatever reasons are now positioned to take on engineering subject, provided the student, he or she, has the capability to take on engineering, and with no undermining of the fact that maths, physics are the most important subject for engineering. So the students who come into engineering without maths and physics as their major in their secondary level would be made to undergo rich courses toward the same, or they will be made to undergo crash courses toward the same and make them compatible or at par with the other students. This is not something new. Presently, system also maintains or allows students from the diploma to come to degree. That is, after 10th, they do diploma, and when they finish diploma, they straight away come to second year of degree engineering. And whatever they have missed out in terms of maths and physics for first year degree, they are made to undergo bridge courses. And it is no surprise that today the students who come from diploma to degree are the ones who perform the best. So absolutely with no difference in qualification or difference in activities at a later stage, when AICTE has introduced this particular policy, this policy is aligned with the National Education Policy, which very clearly enunciates multidisciplinary. So, ladies and gentlemen, multidisciplinary is very important aspect of National Education Policy, and each one of you should now note it, that multidisciplinary term is going to be the futuristic term as far as the education is concerned, with no standalone institute being given permission to continue providing education. Now, the term multidisciplinary means under one umbrella, you would be having a mix of various disciplines. You would be having activities which are spanning across the length and breadth, activities which doesn't have any boundaries, which are crossing into each other departments and disciplines. And the end product, as today we see, is a system of systems with no specific system in an isolation. Multidisciplinary is going to be retained as such. Now, how to implement this multidisciplinary? Multidisciplinary will be implemented. AICTE has already in this approval handbook taken out the concept of multidisciplinary from the erstwhile merging of institutes of the under the same trust or company or a banner which earlier was within a 2-kilometer radius. Now we have expanded it to within the city limits. Number two, we say that there needs to be larger interaction and involvement within a department, between the departments, within the institutes, between the institutes, larger sharing of resources, larger sharing of infrastructure, the faculty members, and the larger sharing of each other's knowledge, wealth, and bank for the purposes of integration into each other. That is what is the definition of multidisciplinary. How to attain it? I said very clearly, the standalone institutes now need to be fast thinking about how to bring about larger disciplines under one umbrella. I also need to mention to you about regional languages. Even though we said about regional languages, AICT has already taken out in their approval handbook all the institutes under AICT mandate who are providing education. Should they wish to provide education in the regional languages, then the departments or a discipline which are NBA accredited can promote regional languages with an additional division of 30/60 seats as a supernumerary strength in the regional language with absolutely no compromise to the quality. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you keep hearing in a sequential manner, I would be taking you the complete mandate of the National Education Policy. I would also be telling you about the activities which have been done, activities where we are, and generally in what timeline it is expected to be carried out, and what is expected out of the environment as such. We were at the multidisciplinary aspect. And when I say the multidisciplinary aspect also immediately comes not only in the offering of the courses. Multidisciplinary also comes is that the futuristic institutes will be multidisciplinary higher education institutes. At AICT, we personally felt much better and correct terminology for this would have been multidisciplinary value-based higher education institutes. The term value-based has been used with a specific reason, and the reason happens to be that we need to bring in our Indianness into the whole concept of an Indian nature of providing education. Our culture, ethics, and our morale needs to be built into our teaching methodology for the purposes of calling it a value-based. The value is our Indian culture and human values, which needs to be now be taught alongside your basic courses, which you people are providing students an option to study. Multidisciplinary at the same time, if I may also say how it needs to be involved, how the multidisciplinary now needs to be involved for the purposes of offering it to students. We propose in the ratio of 60-20-20. 60 to be happens to be your core subjects, mandatory course subjects, 20 happens to be your core electives, and the last 20 happens to be your open electives. There is no doubt in the first 60 and 20, what are these open electives? Now, I also need to mention it to you that the National Education Policy has very clearly highlighted that every graduate coming out today needs to be, in addition to his core subject, which for which purpose he has been given the degree, needs to be also suitably qualified in agriculture, he needs to be qualified in health, and he needs to be qualified in legal guidelines as commensurating to his specific degree. Now, if that needs to be done, we propose it to be done by means of open electives, and the open electives, you can offer agriculture, health, legal, you can offer sports, yoga, universal human values, Indian knowledge system. You name a subject which a student needs to be given, can be given as an option in the open electives, with student given enough freedom to take on the subject as per his or her choice. These subjects to be rated as per their credits, and accordingly these credits to be given to the students for the purposes of degree. This is how you're going to have a multidisciplinary, because today you do not have any one discipline which is moving in isolation. You are having disciplines which do not have any set boundaries. When disciplines do not have any set boundaries, why should the education be given in a very specific sequential manner? Let an exposure be given for a students to be becoming more or less a better human being for the purposes of contributing to the national growth. Ladies and gentlemen, I use the word credit. That is when I use the word that credit to be retained to the student. This brings to me very important another point of the national education policy, which happens to be multiple entry and multiple exit. The word credit drives me to this point. And how does it drive? Against the earlier system wherein for whatever reasons the student left his education simply because he or she could not pursue it for lack of opportunities or lack of finance, lack of any personal issues. Education policy sees that an opportunity should also be given to students to continue his or her education in the right direction, thereby enabling him to become a graduate. And if that has to be done, then the multiple entry and exit has been introduced, which allows students to leave education at any point of time and then come back. And accordingly, NEP dictates that a certificate, stroke a diploma, stroke a PG diploma, stroke a degree to be given at various levels when he proposes to leave, and then he can come back with whatever credit he has received at the point of exit for the purposes of commencing his or her education once again. What needs to be done immediately from the credit is that AICTE proposed that for the purposes of employment, no certificate to be given to the students after he leaves after first year, only because of one reason, that the first year happens to be common to all. However, credits to be retained with the individual for the purposes of joining back whenever he or she wishes to join back in an institute of equal rating and ranking. He can continue his education once again with the retained credits that he has. Towards this, the National Education Policy also says of establishment of Academic Bank of Credit. Academic Bank of Credit is also a recommendation which needs to be done, which would be connected across all higher education institutes, wherein the credit sharing would be retained. And as we are speaking, the modalities for this is already on as to how Academic Bank of Credit is going to be established and how and when the credit sharing and the credit access will be given to students and to the various institutes. Now comes another very important aspect is, let us talk of various number of courses which I did mention. And also I spoke about vocational, when the vocational education has to be brought at par with general education. I used the word bridge courses. Who is going to make the bridge courses? What are going to be the contents? Who is going to define the contents? What is going to be the quality? What is going to be the assessment parameters of this? In which mode are you going to be offering these questions? Now, all these are the implementable points which flow automatically. When I talk about open electives, I just defined certain forums, but who is going to design these courses? So for all this, it has to come out from the faculty members, it has to come out from academia, it has to come out from one of the few selected who are maybe listening today. You people would be contributing towards this complete activity. What we propose, that all the activities which are being done can be done in any format as desirable, can be done in face-to-face, can be done in online, can be even done in a blended mode, provided the content and curriculum for the same is existing. If content and curriculum for the same is existing, let's talk about today's activity, which talks about an online platform and sharing. Because today the online, the means and methods in which we have been getting together today and talking to each other is also
to copy paste dear participants.
Yes, sir, continue.
So if we talk about an online activity, then online activity happens to be a means of providing education for the simple purpose that the last year which has gone by has showed us. Ma'am, in case if suppose everybody seems to be only talking about attendance and I think my talk is not correct at this point of time. I'm only reading your chat and WhatsApp messages, which is coming about attendance. So I think you can continue with your attendance issues, and I would rather call off my talk here only. It's meaningless that I'm talking and everybody seems to be only talking about attendance. Can you listen to me, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, sir.
No,
sir,
it is very incorrect. I have got a lot of work to do. I am wasting my lunch time to talk. And then if nobody seems to be interested, everybody is only interested in attendance. Some people are talking about central guidelines to draft syllabus. Somebody is asking attendance link. I don't think so. Then I should be talking any further. You can take attendance or you can give attendance to people, and I would rather like to leave from this platform.
Sir, we have disabled the chat, so you can continue.
But that's a different issue that you have disabled it, but it's incorrect and bad manners. You know that in the middle of a talk, people are talking about attendance. That clearly shows that they're least interested in learning what is being spoken. If I especially say the name of Dr. Challuva Raju, how can he be asking attendance link when somebody is speaking? There's a basic respect you give to somebody who has come on your platform to speak. I don't know whether if you think that I am sitting free here and idle here and I'm coming and talking to you. So please have certain basic courtesies that when you offer to a speaker who is coming, certain participants to also have certain basic courtesies. This is absolutely incorrect. One of the biggest flaws that we have noticed in our online education. In case if faculty behaves like this, I to fail to understand what is the status of standard of students then tomorrow.
Sorry, sir.
No, ma'am. No. You should never be sorry, ma'am. Why should you be sorry? I think it's collectively we all fail together. It's not individual. Notwithstanding, I'll continue from where I left.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
I was at the online education, and ladies and gentlemen, if the past year which has gone by has shown us that an online education is going to stay, and that is exactly what the UGC and AICT has just now given also, that 40% of the credit sharing to be given by the purposes of online education. Then we need to also understand immediately that online education is one of the biggest activity which is going to be there with you for the times to come. And if online education is going to be there, then it becomes pertinent at the same time for each one of us to immediately master the grasp of online education and understand the nuances of online, thereby integrating the various technology and the related subject matters which are connected with an online education. This is also another chapter which is existing in the National Education Policy of online and ODL, and number 2 chapter happens to be on effective integration of technology into your teaching and learning processes. If effective integration of technology happens to be one of the very important chapters, ladies and gentlemen, it is here that also NETF, National Education Technological Forum, has been recommended to be established. National Education Technology Forum is a platform which would be made to share common ideas, views about various e-resources, e-platform, e-activities for the purposes of teaching, learning, administration, assessment, and content and curriculum development. Various new developments which would be happening or occurring across on the latest and new tools and technology would be shared, and then they would be offered to various institutes and various faculty members for the purposes of capacity building. This has also been mentioned in the National Education Policy. That implies that a very heavy stress or a very pertinent or an important stress is laid out on the effective integration and use of technology. So ladies and gentlemen, today, in case if we talk in an online format, it's must for us to master the art of online to our betterment. And when I say to your betterment, it's a simple reason that because today we all have an online education which is a permanent activity for as long as we see it now for the times to come. Percentage may figure, may differ, but it is going to be staying. As we continue talking this thing, I just now mentioned about the word that the means of delivery can be any of the proposed method which can be left to a particular institute to decide. As we talk of multidisciplinary higher education, value-based institutes, now that the terminology is going to become is proposed, the national education policy also says that the graded autonomy to be given to these higher education institutes. And if graded autonomy has to be given to these higher education institutes, it has to be understood by everybody that autonomy implies freedom. And when an autonomy implies freedom in education, the freedom happens to be in administration, finance, and in academics. Administration and finance is well understood, but what is academics? Administration and freedom in academics implies freedom to develop a curriculum, content offering, method of offering, means of offering, subjects to be offered, a mix of subjects, the open electives to be offered, how credit sharing has to be done, acceptance of the credit sharing, acceptance of the credit earned from other institutes. All this come under your academics freedom, which is autonomy in academics. The future multidisciplinary higher education value-based institutes would be fully autonomous. By 2030, it is expected that autonomy to be granted. However, please understand, whenever we use the word autonomy, a mandatory thing which comes together with autonomy happens to be accountability. There is no autonomy which comes without the word accountability. So in case if an institute happens to be going for autonomous, accountability is an inbuilt parameter, and accountability would be coming in the form of self-disclosure. That is the accountability which will be coming. So the regulation comes into play now. This has also been mentioned in the NEP. The future regulatory bodies would be following the formula of light but tight. Now, what's a light but tight? Light but tight implies that there would be voluntary self-disclosure of the details, and tight implies to be the other part which says that should at a later stage, if anything be incorrect or wrong be found, then in that case, severe penalty or actions as deemed suitable at that point of time would be taken. However, the role of regulatory body has been defined to continue to regulate, however, with the subject matter given largely to the autonomous institutes. At the same time, these multidisciplinary autonomous institutes have also been mentioned that they need to be going for accreditation. So the futuristic institutes are going to be self-sustaining, sufficient, and a model in itself with the inbuilt ecology and inbuilt culture of multidisciplinary, with this another purpose which is also being mentioned in the NEP, which happens to be global outreach and internationalization. Once we have institutes the way we are now proposing, and as the national education policy sees India as a global hub of education by 2035, revisiting our glory days as to what it was at that point of time when we were. Why cannot we repeat it once again? And if it has to be repeated, then internationalization of the education is a must. Internationalization can be done in a very simple manner. First, each one of us needs to look from within as to why our own students have to go abroad for higher education. The answers are well known. We will not dwell upon that. What we need to address is, with the proposed concepts and thoughts that we have spoken, we need to be doing two things, and we need to be carrying out these activities in close connection with each other, with a subject very clear that number one, we need to be retaining our students from going abroad, and number two, we need to be ensuring more and more foreign students to come and study in Indian universities at a later stage. How we can do very simply. We have our own system of education. Our Indianness, which I said in the beginning when I used the word value-based education, now comes and plays a very important role. Our education to be a value-based education using our Indian culture, ethics, moral, and values. We use our values and culture and ethics and moral, ladies and gentlemen. We will be in a position to promote an Indian concept of thought of teaching, which then would be incorporated towards attracting the foreign students. And then the same thing would also be enabling our own students to study higher education in India. Number two, the national education policy also allows our higher education institutes to immediately establish offices abroad. This can be done directly by the institutes, and at the same time, we also propose that Indian missions abroad to be also incorporated towards promoting the same. Very important aspect which has now been found mentioned in the national education policy happens to be an inclusive education. An inclusive education happens to be about providing equality, equity, access, affordability, accountability, and last comes is quality. I've just about mentioned 6 terms into one straight line. I will let you know what is it. The equality happens to be treating each and every student at par with no difference between any student, irrespective of their religion, caste, creed, or financial status. This is exactly what was mentioned in the year 2009 when we had our Right to Education Act, which came in. Equity happens to be treating students as per their respective necessity and as per their requirements, because no two students are alike. Each student has to be treated with the dignity, and each student has to be treated with the requirements separately. Here comes the role of teacher, who needs to identify the number of students under him or her, and thereby paying that special attention to each student as per his or her necessity. Accountability, I did mention very clearly. At that time, accountability was mentioned towards an institute's accountability. Here, when I'm talking to you, accountability pertains to the teacher. And when we talk of accountability to teacher, AICT has already made mandatory 360-degree feedback mechanism for each and every teacher in the AICT approved institutions for the purposes of making a teacher more accountable to the system and overall improvement in the quality of education in the country. Affordability is a very important aspect. Affordability directly contributes to the gross enrollment ratio, reduction in the cost of teaching, because there's a clear thought process in mind in case if suppose an online education is going to be staying, then where the necessity of charging the same amount of fees what was being charged earlier, and that much amount of fees can be reduced for the period that the student is going to be having a online education and is not visiting the university campus to that much time. So make it more affordable, the number of students possibly increases. Giving an online education was also a means of improving in the gross enrollment ratio. Multiple entry exit option, number of students leaving, going, also is a means of improving the gross enrollment ratio. Multidisciplinary concept, offering students from diverse background, engineering is also contributing towards gross enrollment ratio. I finished equality, I spoke about equity, I spoke about accountability, I spoke about affordability. What is access? Access is giving opportunity to each and every student to study. That is access to infrastructure, access to your buildings, access to laboratories, access to teachers, access to books. That is access. And last but not the least, we talk about quality. Ladies and gentlemen, quality is always very subjective. However, each and every activity which we carried out is always related to quality, towards improvement in quality. And quality is nothing but certain set standard benchmark of parameters which have been proven. And hence we carry out all our activities in such a manner that all of us focus towards achieving the quality. So in the end, in case if suppose all this NEP 2020 envisages, it is to have a quality in the higher education at par with international standards to make sure that India by 2035 becomes a global hub of education. And who is at the center of all this education which we spoke? in the center of all this thing which we spoke is a faculty member. That is, it is you. If you people are at the center of all this, the student who has now just completed his secondary education, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, with the exposure that he has got and with the kind of individual he is now coming to you as a student. So in case if a student himself happens to be this much learned and you are a faculty who is now got to take students ahead in their proposed line, I personally feel, or it is felt, and even in the National Education Policy, it has been mentioned that a teacher needs to reinvent himself and present himself in such a manner that he or she is in a better position to take on the future challenges which are likely to come. And toward this, the NEP also says that 50 hours of teaching and learning per teacher is mandatory every year. Toward this, AICT has already taken out NITTT and National Institute of Technical Teachers training on pedagogical and subject which are common to everybody towards making a better human being. All said and done, ladies and gentlemen, we are at a place wherein the proposed National Education Policy takes on the complete length and breadth in the following proposed structure. What has been proposed? There is going to be a HECI, Higher Education Commission of India. Under the Higher Education Commission of India, there is going to be 4 verticals. The number 1 vertical is going to be NERF, National Education Regulatory Council, NERC, which is going to carry out the regulation aspects. The number 2 has to be NAC, National Accreditation Council. Third will be General Education Council. The General Education Council is the council which will be carrying out various setting of standards as far as education is concerned by incorporating various other councils existing in isolation. And the 4th is going to be Higher Education Grants Council, which would be dealing with the completely financial assistance as related to the promotion of education pertaining to institute, faculty, or for students. And this is exactly where the National Education Policy also talks about setting up of NRF, National Research Foundation. National Research Foundation would be with a singular purposes to carry out research across the boundaries. It would be treating private and government institutes at par. The research would be carried out per force, will be aligned to the national needs, and will be a useful product wherein the UG and PG students will be incorporated, and the complete funding for research will be under one umbrella, and it will be evenly dispersed and shared across the whole country. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope I've been able to convey the meaning of National Education Policy. You would pardon me that against the given time, which was in the morning, I had to postpone my talk, and it was only because of the commitments which are in a daytime. But I have conveyed it to you what's a National Education Policy with no structured presentation. I have tried to speak as it comes from the growth of a student from foundational stage to his secondary stage to the time that he actually speaking comes and joins a higher education institute, the role of each one, where we are and what we are supposed to be achieving. And we have no doubt, or at least at Ministry and at AICT, we have no doubt that we will be able to achieve by 2035. Why 2035? We say by 2030, we should be able to achieve the target that we have set for ourselves. And with an equal and able participation contribution of each one of you, this will be a reality which will be seen very soon. And trust me, at least in your lifespan as a teacher, you would be seeing any more changes. So that much more reason that you people should be aligned to what is being spoken in NEP. Thank you. Thanks a lot. It was indeed an honor and a pleasure that I got a chance to speak. I hope my talk was of some value to people. Any queries, recommendations, suggestions which anybody wishes to have, ladies and gentlemen, you can put it by mail to me. You can put a WhatsApp to me. I'll reply to each one of them. And it's indeed an honor and a pleasure. And thank you. And thanks a lot to each organizing body. Thanks a lot to the Institute. Thanks a lot also to the participants who very clearly have been listening to the talk and I do appreciate and understand it is gone ahead and into the lunchtime. Apologies for that, but thank you. Thanks a lot. And from AICT and on behalf of AICT and everybody, offer my sincere thanks to each one of you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. It was a very nice session, sir. Sorry for you. We have taken your lunchtime, sir.
No,
Definitely.
not at all. Not at all, sir. Absolutely no issue, sir. No issue, sir.
Yes, sir. And sir, this new education policies definitely will be very helpful because you have put as a student as a center point. Definitely it will improve the country, sir. Thank you for your third session.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. It's an absolute honor.
Thank you, sir. And policies like promotion of higher education in regional languages, exposure to vocational subjects, involvement of Lok Vidya, criteria for secondary education to qualify in different courses, multiple entry and exit points, online technology to enhance education, autonomy of academy, of education, inclusive education, and setting of NRF. Thank you, sir, for sparing your valuable time with us from your busy schedule. Venkat sir, please kindly accept the virtual bouquet on behalf of convener Dr. P.D. Chowdhury, Principal of PS Modern College of Pharmacy, Nigri, and Coordinator of STTP, Dr. Bhushan Pimpre, Associate Professor of PS Modern College of Pharmacy, Nigri, as a token of gratitude. So please kindly accept the certificate from PS Modern College of Pharmacy as a token of appreciation. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks a lot. Absolute honor.
All delegates are informed that the link for today's quiz will be available to you on MCOP STTP Telegram group at 4 p.m. All delegates are requested to actively attend all the sessions as your attendance is being monitored continuously by our technical team. Now I declare that our today's session of STTP is concluded. Tomorrow we will continue with next technical session at 11 a.m.